Hey guys, I'm Francesca and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about what I learned in Morocco. If you haven't already seen, I did make a quick little Morocco vlog from my trip over there. And if you haven't seen that already, I will leave the link down below, so definitely go check that out. But today I'm going to be talking about some of the things I learned from my Morocco trip. There's lots of questions always about traveling to Morocco. I will try and keep this short and sweet for you guys, but if you are planning to travel to Morocco anytime soon, hopefully these 5 tips will be helpful. So let's do it. So a little bit of background, I'm currently in Malta. I have been traveling across Europe, doing little weekend trips and little side trips here and there over the past 5 months. So this was my first time doing a trip outside of Europe, and it was a totally different experience, but tons and tons of fun, and I highly recommend it to anyone. I traveled there with just myself and my friend Marissa, and we were there for a long weekend. So it was a four days total, and so we were traveling between Casablanca and Marrakech. So unfortunately we did not get to see all of Morocco, but we took away what we could in the 4 days that we were there. So my tip number 1 for you guys is use the currency exchange booths in the airport right as you land. So come to Morocco landing with cash in your wallet, whatever that currency may be. I was coming with euros, and transfer that into your dirhams right away. First of all, it's just efficient. You get it done right off the bat. You don't have to worry about it. The second reason is because we found it pretty hard to find ATMs around. It's definitely not possible. They're definitely around, but they're also very busy because they're not as frequent as maybe you would see them in Europe. There were always big lineups at ATMs, so it just saves you the hassle. And another note on that would be to take out more cash than maybe you're planning on originally. We made the decision to only use cash over our weekend, and it was definitely a good call. Most places don't really want to use credit cards unless you are staying in a really high touristy area. Most of the time people would prefer just cash. It just kept it easy for us as well, so that's something to keep in mind. Tip number 2, this is about accommodation, and this is referencing when we were staying in Marrakech. So we did a lot of research into where we were going to stay over our time in Marrakech, and we ended up settling on a riad. We stayed at the Riad Star, which is located inside the Medina, and I cannot say enough good things about staying in a riad. We played with the idea of staying in a hotel, but decided that a riad would be a little bit more authentic to our Marrakech experience, and it definitely was. If you have the opportunity to stay in a riad, I highly recommend it. Some really great things about a riad is, number 1, it is right in the Medina. So that means you have the souks and the main square and everything very close to you. You don't need to worry about traveling at any great lengths. We actually only had like a 2-minute walk until we were in the middle of the souks. So that was super fun and a super unique experience that you definitely wouldn't get if you were staying at a large chain hotel. Another extremely unique experience about staying at this riad is there is a rooftop terrace, and we were able to hear the prayers from the roof, which was very cool. You can hear this in lots of places around inside the Medina, but just being able to hear it in your accommodation where you're staying was something we've never experienced before. So Marissa and I actually went up to the roof and we're listening, and we took photos and videos of like the prayers sort of echoing around us. I'll actually insert a little clip of it right now. And on top of the riad giving you a completely unique experience and being in an amazing location, the customer service of the Riad Star was above and beyond. We felt like we had someone there to help us 24/7, and that was amazing. We got served mint tea, which is their traditional mint tea, whenever you like it. It's available 24/7. The staff were incredibly friendly, and because you are in the Medina and in the souks, it can get a little bit complicated to orient yourself. If you're a first-time traveler there, it definitely was a little bit difficult for us at the beginning. We were only there for 2 nights and we had an amazing stay. We actually sat down with the manager upon our arrival and he made us feel extremely at home. On top of this, they will also provide you with a cell phone or find a way to get in touch with you via WhatsApp or whatever service you use, and you can text them if you ever feel lost while you are in the souks or Medina, which can totally happen if you are a first-time traveler there, because it's a little bit hard to orient yourself. And so that was actually very helpful, because on our very first day there, we arrived almost in the evening and we ended up not knowing our way back to the back to the Riyadh. We just sent them a quick text and within 4 minutes we had someone picking us up and escorting us back to the Riyadh. So that's a really good tip if you are a first-time traveler or maybe feeling a little bit on edge. Knowing that you had that as a backup plan was like, put me so at ease. If at any point we felt either lost or uncomfortable or had any questions whatsoever, we could just send a quick text and we'd get an answer like right away. So that was a huge plus for us about staying at the Riyadh Star. Point number 3 I'm going to talk about is the souks. So the souks are a very unique and authentic experience to Marrakech, and I highly, highly, highly recommend going exploring in the souks if you are there. The souks is where you're gonna do lots of shopping. You're gonna get a real mix of tourists as well as locals in the souks, so that's very cool to see. They can be a little bit hectic. The streets are very, very narrow and can get very crowded, so you will have streets with donkeys pulling carriages and trucks trying to pass and literal children riding mopeds and scooters down the street, as well as all this mixture of locals and tourists doing the daily hustle of just walking up and down. But it is tons and tons and tons of fun. I definitely recommend it. One thing to note is the souks can definitely be a little bit intimidating in terms of navigation. If you are new there, new to Marrakech or new to the souks, the roads or paths, or I don't know what to call them, do get a little bit confusing, and so that's something to note ahead of time, and just be prepared that either you're gonna get lost and just be okay with it because you're gonna get out eventually, or if that makes you totally uncomfortable of the idea of getting lost in the souks, it's good to just kind of get your grounding and kind of have like a starting point, and you can kind of decide that you're gonna walk straight one way and then straight back another way. But everyone who we spoke to at our Riyadh said it's much more fun if you kind of just decide you're gonna get lost and go down those little alleyways, because you'll see a lot more, because it's really easy to get stuck on the main touristy like strip, and it's definitely more fun to go a little bit deeper into the souks. That's also where you're gonna find a lot better deals because you're a little bit further from that main tourist strip. In the souks, you are able to bargain or haggle a little bit with all the different shops. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're not planning on buying anything, don't put too much effort into doing a big debate, because that can rattle people. That was one tip we were given and we found that very, very helpful. Don't put in the effort of bargaining down to a price, taking up a lot of the store owner's time if you have no intention of actually buying that item. Another thing about the souks is you definitely are going to want to try some traditional Moroccan food. There are tons and tons of restaurants and cafes. Some of them are more geared towards locals and some are more geared towards tourists. We did a bit of both and we had some amazing food. We had lots of tagine, which was absolutely delicious, and I highly recommend trying multiple tagines from multiple locations because it's the best. Another thing I should mention about the souks and when you're walking around the souks is to be aware of what you are wearing. You want to be dressing conservatively in the souks. It's not the best place to be wearing tank tops and short shorts. Of course you can wear anything you'd like, but in terms of avoiding potentially unwanted attention, I highly recommend wearing clothing that covers far below your shoulders and far below your knees. That's what Marissa and I both did throughout the stay, and we found this to be the most helpful. You will potentially get lots of attention in the souks. We definitely got lots of attention and lots of people trying to engage in a conversation with us. You would get people telling you that you were going the wrong way often, and people telling you that the main square is the opposite direction that you're walking, or sort of little side comments like that. And after speaking to the staff at the Riad, they told us the best option is just to completely ignore it. It's one of those things you can do whatever you feel most comfortable with, but we ended up finding that that worked the best for us. When we had attention on us that we didn't want, we just completely ignored what was being said to us and just kept walking on our way, and within a minute that attention would disappear. So tip number 4 is any day trips or excursions. So I don't have an ample amount of experience with this, but we did end up booking a day trip to do a camel ride. Unfortunately, we did not have time to go to the Sahara Desert and do the full-blown experience, but we decided that since we were in Morocco, we still wanted to get the camel ride experience. So we just did like a quick little day trip not too far from Marrakech, and I'll pop up the name of the company that we used on the screen. It was cute, it was fun, it was quick, and it was a good way to still get the camel ride experience if you don't have time to do the full actual desert tour. So whether you're with kids or with yourself, by yourself, and you just want to get like a little hint of the experience, I definitely recommend it. And for tip number 5 about what I learned traveling in Morocco, I'm going to talk about the trains. So we traveled from Casablanca to Marrakech by train and Marrakech to Casablanca. So what I have to note about the trains is, number 1, the trains are always late. And I don't mean like necessarily just 10 minutes late. They can be like up to 2 hours late. So if you have a specific time that you want to get to your destination, definitely take an earlier train than you were originally planning on getting. And another note on the trains is I highly recommend booking first class, especially if you are there in tourist season. Second class would be totally fine if there was more space, but we were there at a very, very busy time, and because the trains don't leave super frequently, they are extremely overcrowded. And we learned this the hard way because we did not pre-book our tickets. We got them the day of, and unfortunately first class was booked from the morning all the way until the evening, and so we didn't have a choice because we had to get to our destination. So we traveled in second class, and it was just very, very crammed. On one of our trips we were standing, and obviously that's not ideal because it is quite a trip. From Marrakech to Casablanca is about a 3.5 hour train ride. So ideally it's nice if you can be comfortable during that time. So I highly, highly, highly recommend pre-booking those train tickets, getting them ahead of time, and booking first class. So if you can put in the extra time to plan that, it's definitely worth it. Alright, so that concludes my 5 tips of what I learned in Morocco. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a little bit different than the ones I've done so far. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. It means a lot, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button so you can see my future videos that are going to be coming very soon. And yeah, thanks so much. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.